You ever try learning Flesh and Blood and feel like the game's personally out to humiliate you? Like every rule is a riddle and every keyword is a trap? Well, welcome to episode 20 of the Tunic Counter Gamers, the Why Do I Even Play This Game edition. We're talking about the growing pains and the misplays and the moments where you're frustrated and swear you're done, but then you show up for another round anyways. So grab your tunic, grab your patience, and this is a game where you're going to need both. This is another episode where we talk about the frustrations of learning. And, gents, before I get into the reason why we're going to do this episode, what did we learn since last week?
I can start. I learned that if you play against Arachne, bring your snags. Don't forget them at home. That's the lesson there. I went 2-1 Syndra, and in my last one I played against, Arachne slipped through the cracks, and there was literally nothing that I could do to get that win based off of what was happening.
Yeah, Slippy is just a natural predator towards Syndra, right? Who doesn't like to block anyways and has only a very few D-reacts, if any at all.
Arachne is basically just Syndra, but with relevant on hits. And disruptions with those on hits, so
yeah,
that's my viewpoint anyway.
There's a lot of Slippies out there, and I'm super excited to either play Slippy at first, but I might swing back toward Mario because I do like his hero power a lot better, and he's the natural predator to the Slippy. So, and Trevor, what did he learn since last week?
I learned what seismic surge tokens do. I was wrong. I thought they did because I hadn't seen one in like 2 years, since I started playing. I thought they just like resource, and I was thinking like that's just what Vigor does. But they make Guardian cards cost less.
It's like bad Vigor.
Yeah, but you get more or something.
Yeah.
Vigor you can use as a generic resource, but Guardians it's only used for Guardian attacks. Which if you're not a Guardian player,
attack action cards.
Right? Yeah. Guardian attack action cards, right? Well, gents, I figured since I'm about to play Jarl or Valda when she comes out, and I like my thick ladies, what can I say? And Betsy's not really relevant right now, but I figured I'll go ahead and try Florian, right? And I swear, like every week we play against against each other, right? And so I sit down first round against Evan, and Evan, he sees me just blocking with these cards and stacking up the Earth cards in my graveyard, and sure as hell, I thought Decompose was a trigger from the graveyard, not the Banish Zone.
Oh my god, bro.
Evan's looking at me, and when I went to go block some stuff using my armor equipment, it was like, hey, there's nothing in your Banish Zone. I was like, it's in the graveyard. The whole time.
You didn't decompose once?
Dude, I had the ability to
He had a plan, okay? He has a plan, Trevor.
I was stacking so much.
Blowing my mind.
Dude, I totally, because it's been like a year since Rosetta came out, and I have not, you don't see a lot of Decompose, or you're not really interacting with it. So when he said, hey, that's not how Decompose works, I looked, I was like, dang, I could have been more effective so much earlier, right? I was just swinging like big attacks. He was playing Marlin, and his Marlin was doing really good. He went online a couple times, and it was like a lot of Conqueror of the High Seas. But yeah, I got him down to 10 life, but at the end, I could kind of tell he was just like, taking the match as a freebie. Because, again, I wasn't playing the game for the first half. So, that's what I learned last week is, I should read the cards before I actually play the deck.
Learn what the keywords are.
Yeah. So, it kind of goes to the reason why we're doing this episode, right? It's another kind of variation of the things we talked about before. But I figured for new players or experienced players, we could really kind of deep dive and hone in on this. Now, as you know, I work for the school district, and we are launching a new program, a new software for our managers to be able to utilize in the cafeterias to ring up food, track their orders, and do their inventory. It's a huge undertaking, and a lot of people are under this. And the managers, every time they have to learn something new, tend to get frustrated. So one of our coordinators shared a video, and I want you guys to watch this video and give me your thoughts, because I think it encapsulates the frustrations of learning a new deck, regardless if you're a specialist or a generalist in this game. And for our new players, if you don't know, sometimes people will pick up one hero or one type of hero like a ninja, and they'll just specialize in that hero. That's all they play. They'll go to the pre-releases, they'll go to the drafts, but all they do is play this one hero, and they trade out the rest of the cards, or sell them or give them away. Now, generalists, which is, Ning, are you a generalist?
I would say I'm probably more that than a specialist. Yeah.
And then Trevor, are you a generalist or a specialist?
I'd want to say generalist, but I've been playing back for a little bit now. So
Yeah. So, and I consider myself a generalist. I have a deck in every hero, right? That's out there, every hero class. Doesn't mean I'm every class that's out there, but doesn't mean I'm really good at it, as you heard about the Florian story. So I'm a generalist, right? I haven't specialized. I find there's so much fun with the different heroes out there. So every time, even if for a specialist to learn the game, there's always going to be points of frustration because as new heroes come into the meta or old heroes shift out and these things change, there's always that frustrating point about learning. And so the video that was shared is from Dr. Becky on the learning space. Now, for our clients, or I'm sorry, or for our audience and for you guys, I want you guys to listen to this and, chime in with your thoughts at the end. All right. So here we go.
Question. What does resilience feel like?
I think the word resilience has a positive connotation, but when you're being resilient, it definitely does not feel positive.
I think that's so beautiful. Being resilient doesn't feel resilient at all. It feels so messy. Another way of thinking about it is we also have not knowing and knowing. The space between not knowing something and knowing something is really painful, especially if you've fashioned yourself to be someone who's academically talented, because then it almost feels like
All right. A little shout out to Agro Blaze. We're going to go ahead and pause that. We do like to check out our other content creators here. So,
dang.
boom. All right. All right, guys. So, she's talking about the frustrations of learning and how it's not a straight path from, I want to know something to knowing it. And then there's a lot of ups and downs. And during that period of not knowing to knowing, there's a level of frustration. That's the learning process. So with our new players who tend to pick up this game, and I think I mentioned this in the first 5 episodes, you get your teeth kicked in, and it's incredibly frustrating, right? And they feel like, we are all intelligent people. Well, I think you two more than some other people on this cast. Love you, Evan. Not sure I'm talking about myself. So, anyways, what's your thoughts on that? I'd like to hear your opinion.
I don't know. There is that bit where it's like sometimes makes you want to exit it, and I'm like that game against Arachne at Syndra, where I'm like, there's literally nothing I could have done different. We even talked about it and went back about it. And it was like, is there any turn that I really messed up? And it's like, no. I guess bring the snag next time if I beat him. Then it's like, oh, okay. I guess that there's the learning experience, right? But like, it just does not feel good when things don't work out, as you planned.
Yeah, I almost kind of disagree with like learning a deck. I always feel like it's pretty rewarding when you're like just goldfishing and you're trying to like play it. You like learn a new line and that feels good, or you like learn some new interaction that like you can do with your cards. And like just looking at the cards and seeing like how they interact. Like I've been having a lot of fun with like puffing, and learning like when you can crank, when you can't, and then like a specific case is like cranking once, coming in with a Zeppelin, and then on hit it's go again and draw a card. It wasn't something that was like immediately apparent. I'm sure everyone knows now, but like learning that firsthand like felt rewarding. It felt cool. It felt like I was being rewarded, you know,
Yeah.
for like finding these interactions and playing them. But I feel like in Fab, you can get frustrated, and it usually comes from not knowing what your opponent does and like what their deck does. Is where like I can find myself getting frustrated because like especially when you're starting out, like they come in for like CNC one floating Tunic up, and then you just like say, oh, I'll just block like 6, and then you get pummeled. You know, like that's a frustrating experience, but it's something you learn, and then you know, in the future, like you don't fall for that again, right? You try to like play around it or just be prepared.
So let me ask you a question to follow up on that, Trevor. If let's say you say when you're goldfish and that's when you're drawing your deck to see how it interacts, that
Yeah.
part is very relaxing, very methodical. Like, you find enjoyment in learning your cards and how they interact with your deck.
Yeah.
Now, in a live practice of that, you would go to your first match. And the first time you ever sat down and played Puffin against an opponent, right, where it's not so static and there's a lot of ebb and flow in this, there's no levels of frustration in your learning with that piece of it, how your hero interacts with another hero.
I think, I mean, just like for me personally, the only time I've played Puffin so far has just been like armories. And like when I'm learning a deck, first thing I do is bring it to armories.
Okay.
And they're such like casual events, right? It's like the perfect environment to like be testing something because like I don't care if I owe 3, you know, if I'm doing a new deck, like that makes like sense. Any win I get, I feel like is a bonus. But I just like try to get something out of the game. Like I'll try to do the play lines that I've like thought of, you know, and like I'll try to like execute like the game plan. But obviously, you know, I'm not going to be prepared for like every deck that I go against. So you have to like learn on the fly, like see what's going on. And I mean, I don't know. I feel like that's just like a personal thing. Like you can get frustrated by that. Like if you really want to win, but it's an armory. Like, I mean, I'd rather just have like a good game and like, and if I learn something, I don't feel frustrated. I feel like good, I guess.
Yeah. So I think you kind of set the expectations for yourself too, where you
Yeah.
know that you'll go, hey, it's great if you go 3-0, but if you go 0-3, it's because you're there to gain the experience and play that deck. So it doesn't matter if you go the full timer or the full wins or not, right? So you kind of set your expectations more realistically. Have you ever played a deck where it just didn't get better? Right? And you understand the why, or like, was there ever like because you might be the exception to the rule. Your mind frame for this process of how to play cards is probably truly to like the hobbyist point of view, where you don't get frustrated because it's not only it's a game, it's also in a very friendly format comparatively to tournaments. So I think that mind frame going to anything will probably ease the learning process a little bit more. And the only times you get frustrated are when?
Well,
Yeah, like, do you ever
so,
get
like,
frustrated with games or never
yeah.
really?
I mean, like, I did get frustrated at the last calling. I did because that was sealed, and I didn't think my sealed pull was very good. And then, like, at the point, like, when I think I talked about this, like, whatever, a few podcasts ago, but like, I kind of felt like I didn't have like a lot of agency in my gameplay because like I felt like I made like a pretty decent deck with like what I had, but I felt like the decks I was losing to were just like better, you know?
Like they had better polls.
Yeah. Like I lost to a Puffin, like Cog in the Machine into Cogworks Dovetail into Cogworks Workshop, and I was like, oh, I can't.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, right. And it was like round 2, and I was like, okay, my bad.
Yeah. So I guess in that case, it's not really like it's not even the learning process that you're frustrated with. It was just the bad luck that you're frustrated with, and you wish you had more agency when you built your deck or had at least competitive advantage.
And then like, because anytime I've done like a CC event, like I've always, and it's only been a few, I've only done like 2 or 3 Battle Hardens. I've like prepared a lot with the deck, so I felt like pretty comfortable on it. And like most of my matchups, I would go into like, I wouldn't get like surprised. Like I kind of knew what like the other decks were doing. I obviously knew what my deck was doing. I was grinding it. So yeah, as long as like I kind of knew what was going on, I didn't feel like there was a lot of, but at that point, I guess like I'm past like the learning because I felt like I was just making decisions based on all the stuff I had like learned previously. And I felt like the learning experience is like pretty positive for me overall.
I guess I'm kind of the complete opposite to that. Like I understand that there's a pain to learning. Like, knowing new concepts does not come easy to me. Maybe it's because as I get older, my brain gets a little bit more cemented in its ways. I know that like brains always can learn up until a certain age. I get that, but it does get harder. I'm not saying like
Mhm.
it does get harder, but like, and I guess the reason why this podcast the topic was so topical was because yes, I I could have read the card, right? But I assumed that I knew what Florian was doing. I assumed I knew what the cards and how they interacted. And maybe that assumption is really how it kind of just thwarted me. And the frustration part, and I always get frustrated because there's always nuances in a deck that I just don't pick up just by reading the cards, even by goldfish. And I have to actually, maybe it's because I'm more of a kinesthetic learner. I have to be able to see it interact,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I mentioned Florian, but even during pre-release with Gravy Bones, like I had to have Evan walk me through actually how his watery grave mechanic worked, right? You have to pitch the blue card or discard the blue card in order to play watery grave. Like, and that does not come naturally to me to understand that
Mhm.
concept. Well, and I guess it kind of goes to this whole game. I love Flesh and Blood, but like this is
Mhm.
not an easy game for me to learn, right? Which is the reason why I like the podcast
Mhm.
so much. Poker, I had no problems winning at tables with the poker concept. That was easy. That's numbers and gut feeling, but it's mostly numbers. So it's very much, I want to say formulaic because it's poker, but like 600 players, I won number one at a tournament. That was no issue for me. I've always made money at the tables. But Flesh and Blood is always so frustrating, and I
Mhm.
like, and it's like I'm learning all the nuances in every deck, trying to take into account every playstyle. And when I make a small mistake, it's frustrating. When I misread a card, it's frustrating. So maybe it's because I think I'm a little bit of a dumbass sometimes. But where you kind of understand the cards intrinsically. And Ning, don't get me wrong, but you get the concept of this game fairly well as well. Like you understand the foundations of it a lot better than
I
I do.
I don't know. I think there is a level of expectation that you go into either an event or whatever, and that's kind of what sets the mood, right? So for Trevor, Armory, the most casual, maybe, and for him, that's when he's learning his deck, and
Mhm.
I think for him, when things go wrong, he's still constantly learning. Oh, this is what you should do. This is what I can do to make it better, and that's an enjoyable thing for him. But I think for you, you come from this background of excelling at card games one way or another, and so I would assume you would think that skill is very transferable into Fab, and so
Mhm.
you would immediately be able to either do well or you have this expectation of you doing well. But because of how annoyingly nuanced this game can be, either with keywords or whatever, there are some gaps in knowledge or the lines that can be played, and because you're not meeting that expectations of excellence, I think you're getting frustrated a lot more than, oh, hey, I'm learning and therefore this is actually a positive experience. For me though, I kind of like what you said. I think overall I can pick up the concepts pretty well.
Mhm.
And then, my entire life I've been in those gifted programs, right, from school, and they're like, "Oh, wow, you're so special, you're so smart," and all the things. And then so
Wait,
I'll
can we take a
play at
moment? I don't think I ever really thought about that, but I could totally see that, man. Dude, Trevor, were you in a gifted program as well?
Yeah, I was. I thought it was kind of messed up looking back.
Dang,
so
dude. I was in the opposite. Like, I don't know what the gifted program is, but in-house suspension, ISS,
Mhm.
detention. I dropped out of high school, right? There's all sorts of things, right? I
mm,
did not complete high school in the normal fashion. So, man, maybe I. Anyways, go on, Ning. I'm just like surrounded by greatness.
and here you are. No,
Still
yeah, and
struggling,
so
but
it's
go
kind of
ahead.
like, yeah, like for the most part, I feel like I can pick up the idea behind what you're supposed to do and whatnot, and then I'll play a thing, and so for example, for somebody like Syndra, her game plan is pretty simple. Her lines
Mhm.
are pretty simple. Like sometimes they diverge depending on what kind of cards you have, but overall it's go again, go again, go again. If you have a card that can buff, do that first, then go again, go again, go again.
Mhm.
Right. So for me, because of the simplicity of Syndra and then playing against the Arachne, there was an expectation of like, oh, if I just do the thing, then I should be able to win easily without really thinking about, oh, I should bring in Snag or whatever. And so I think when I played that and then I lost, the expectation of me being able to either have a very close game or just outright win because ninja doing ninja things. When that wasn't met, I think there was that frustration of like, what's going on and why couldn't I have fixed that issue with the cards that I had at the time. But at the same time, I think there is a point where you go through that frustration, like she was saying. You learn, oh, okay, maybe I do need to bring snag, or I do need to bring some sort of tech into the deck to figure this out. Like, for example, I brought in Warmonger's Diplomacy against Gravy Bones as Syndra. That's probably over teching, but golly, did that work out really well. And
Can't go wrong with the
that was
classics, man.
just yeah, and that was just a great time. But like then I go into this other match, I don't tech very well, and then I'm getting frustrated because it didn't work out well. But I assume I now have this learning experience. I bring it in next time, maybe it'll go better, and then I think if I do succeed, or if at least I see improvement, then there is some sort of reward from that. So there is definitely that ebb and flow for sure, but you can't feel good without getting knocked down first, I think, in the learning process. Otherwise you're just always going high, and I don't think that's possible.
Yeah, I think isn't Syndra's worst matchup against like Dorinthia and against Slippy? All right.
I don't know the answer to that, but I could see it.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of it too, right? I'm not playing enough Flesh and Blood to be able to like know all the things, and that in itself I think is also frustrating. But that's a different kind of frustration of not being able to put in the reps and all the and whatnot.
Yeah, like being beat out by something you don't know about, like just feels bad. It feels like you got
but right.
Yes,
because I can't. Like when I was talking about expectations, I can't expect, oh, this is a bad matchup or this is a good matchup without actually doing it. But also, if I don't play the matchup, there is no expectation to be had, and therefore I always will think I'm going to do at least neutrally well.
Yeah, I always say you need to know a 1 to know a 10. So you need a framing is what that is. If you don't have that framing, then you don't really have a way to measure a kind of or quantify any kind of results, whether they're qualitative or not.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, like learning, like for me, is frustrating, especially when the deck doesn't work out like you want. Like, I call it pummel cute, right? Because, I try to fit in pummel everything because I love that card. But sometimes pummels isn't just playable in a deck, like the Gravy Bones pummel thing. And that was me knowing that potentially it wasn't going to be a good card and it was kind of janky. But there's some kind of allure to that too. I do think, like there are ups and downs, and I think we can even translate that a path to even like how we do at armories. Like I think I'm in a losing streak right now, and which is not bad because you learn a lot from losing, and I learn a lot from playing the different heroes, which is why I tend to go to the different heroes out there. But like there is that level of frustration as it happens for me at least, right? But like with the losing streak, it just makes it kind of expand. Like, usually I'm a positive record. I've been positive for a long time. So when I went 0-1, then dropped, now mind you, school's starting, so I've been busy, and then 0-2 or 0-3, I haven't been 0-3 ages, man. Right? So I figured, like, let me think about this. And this video came out. I was like, I kind of feel that way with new heroes. But I guess I'm just like maybe one out of the other different styles out there. And maybe it's a spectrum. Like, you could be on the Trevor side, no frustration with learning. You take it for what it is. And then, with me, especially in this kind of game, as you said, there's a whole bunch of, what did you say about the nuances? Like the wording you did was very perfect.
What an annoyingly nuanced game.
Yeah. So, which is kind of funny because I like, we do a lot of leadership classes and trainings for our managers. And so it kind of goes back to last year's training, which we had a growth mindset instead of a fixed mindset. And people tend to go from one mindset to another, but you really want to inhabit that growth mindset. So be frustrated, acknowledge your frustration, and then try, like you were saying, Ning, get to see how you could get to that, growth mindset. I'm learning. I have a foundation now to leap off of and try to achieve higher results or better results, right? But yeah, I mean, I know it's always the same kind of cyclical topic, but I figure this is a different variation of the same thing we've already said before for any kind of players that are in a losing streak, right? So, Trevor, you've been playing this game longer than me and Ning.
Mhm.
Have you ever hit a losing streak where you went, X and 3? Other than the Battle Hardened where you drew crap cards and you're like, what do I do? This can't set it on fire, right?
Yeah, the sealed calling.
Yeah.
I don't know. I probably didn't have. Oh wait, sorry. My roommate's back. 1 second.
That's fine. So now, how about you, Ning? You ever been on a losing streak?
I haven't, like, losing streak as in, yeah, I mean, I've for a while I think I was like 1-2 for a bit. 0-3 has been pretty rare, but I haven't been positive until recently, like 2-1s.
Do you?
Recently, as in the past 2 months or 2-3 months.
Well, half of that is because you haven't played. The other half of it is because you've played Uzuri. Not to diss on your woman, man. Not to be savage.
No. My
Yeah.
Azuri was pretty good, Before,
That's true. You did
the
top
whole,
8.
but that was
Right.
yeah. Heavy hitters was the peak of my Azuri, and then Mistveil came, and that was rough. But yeah. Azuri is not the easiest to get a positive number on, for sure. But yeah, I for the most part, I think I've been positive recently, like within the past few months. But yeah, losing streaks are hard. They make you feel bad too. Just from like a moral standpoint.
Morale?
Yeah, morale standpoint. Yeah, like they're to Trevor's point. You go to Armory, you play the thing. It's very casual. You're there to learn as well. But then at some point, I think everybody can plateau on their learning. And either that can just be from play fatigue, and so you're not really absorbing any more knowledge, or maybe whatever you're playing is just peaked out. So like all those Teklevasan players out there, right? Like you've done your best, but clearly it's just not meant to be. And so at some point, even though you're playing, you're no longer learning. And I think because of that, and there's still a losing streak, the reward of this process is not there anymore, aside from maybe just being able to play the game. And but that's its own thing.
Yeah. I guess in some cases you can learn as much as you can with the character and all the nuances, but if you're playing, I hate to say it, my boy Olympia, right? You're not expecting to win a lot anyways, right? Now, Trevor, do you have time to talk now, or is your roommate still around?
Yeah, no, I'm good.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, for losing streak, I mean, I don't really keep track, but I probably didn't have a great record when I was playing Arachne Huntsman. But
until the day you got 4-0, right?
Yeah, you went 4-0 at the Army.
Yeah,
learning
we
to that
did
point.
That. I mean,
was that enjoyable then? Like you had to lose a lot.
Not just like the deck.
Point, right?
Like I was playing it because it was fun, So like I mean, I was also learning, but it was just fun to do stuff like that. I ran. I don't know, like I'm not even sure if you guys were really around back then, but I was running like a Royal Arachne with like Crown of Dominion, and you ran like cash in and stuff to like draw cards and like go super wide. Like I was just kind of like
so funny.
Yeah. Like, and we were just trying to like have fun with it, So I didn't really
like my item puffin, but I think that's also a difference, right? Because if you're playing with a competitive deck and it's competitive, as opposed to a for funsies deck.
Yeah, I could see that being pretty frustrating. But like if it's a competitive deck and it's a competitive deck, like you pull it from like, like a Pro Tour winner or whatever, like like a top 8, and you get that list, that the list can succeed, but like you're not having success with it. That's when like I can see like frustration start to seep in, and you really need to like, I mean, ask the person who beat you, like what went wrong, like especially if it's an army, like it's one of your friends, they'll let you know. And you can definitely learn a lot from that.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Right?
Where I feel like when I was playing my Corsham Aurora deck, like nothing could bring the mood down. I win, that's great. I lose, it's hilarious.
I know, right?
It's the best. So like, that's a great feeling. Like if I ever make this Puffin item deck just exist, it's just gonna be fun, So but that's definitely a different mindset that you kind of go into it too with this whole learning process and feeling frustrations or feeling rewarded. So
Yeah. Invite him on, man. He could give us his take on this. We'll replay the video, Trevor.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it's just one of those things. I know, we'll keep on covering this as like different concepts about this frustration or the learning process because I feel like it can help experienced players and newer players all the same. Especially since we are lucky to have anywhere between 4 armies a week. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. And on Sunday we have two at different times, right? So we're lucky here to be able to play a mass amount of games within 45 minutes to an hour driving distance. For me, it's like 15 and 30 minutes for two of those locations. So, we're able to go out there and play. But I know for some of the other people that only play once a week and then they don't really vibe well with Talishar because it just feels different or, and I can see that playtime being such quality time for them and they want to utilize that for everything. And then all of a sudden they can't or they crap out or they're not playing to the best of their abilities. And they're like, I should have read that card or I could have played this differently. Or why did I fall for that, Victor Pummel gotcha when I knew about that because I lost to him last week, right? And it does take time. Like as I think we demonstrated here, we all learn at a different pace. Some of us do learn a little bit more through the hard knocks, and some of us are generally more gifted at learning quicker, right? They have a shorter learning curve, I guess, or the ceiling's a little bit lower for you. I don't know.
it's
But
like I think the best analogy is in Mario Kart you have characters that have high speed and then there are those that have high acceleration. I'm high acceleration, but like man, my skill level does cap out pretty quickly. And this has historically been the case when I play new fighting games with my friends. Like
Okay.
I can pick up the system relatively well, like Tekken, Street Fighter, or whatever, and I'll win for like the first 3 hours, and
Okay.
like my winning streak will be pretty high. But at some point, they will start getting better at the game than me. I don't understand why, but that does happen. So I think there is something there,
That's fair. And I think, if I forgot the lady's name, but if the doctor is watching this podcast, please feel free to comment down below.
yeah, absolutely.
Doctor, I
Absolutely.
can't remember. I'm afraid to go back
Was
because
it
I don't want to
Dr.
play the
Kelly?
video. Yeah,
Or
Dr.
Dr.
Kelly, I think that's
Dr.
right.
Becky.
Dr. Becky, thank you.
Becky?
So if she's watching, please comment below. Let us know about the psychology of the different brain types and expand upon what Ning was saying because that is interesting. I always said I'm not the fastest and I'm not the strongest, but I'm the most stubborn. So if I really gravitate toward a hero, I don't mind becoming a specialist. I just haven't. There's so much fantastic interplay with all the heroes here from good and bad that
Yeah.
I enjoy that piece of this. Like, not all heroes are competitive, but all heroes are fun, except maybe a very few, right? Like, okay, I'll give you an example. I didn't mind playing new. I liked playing her. Now, did I think those games were long and grindy after the third new or in that evening? Sure, right? When I got new, and new, yeah, that's a little too much new, right? So, or maybe it was two news, but it felt like three because they went to 50 minutes every time. But they were still enjoyable, I don't know. I just feel like the learning journey and that little frustration part, I could resonate with that. But Trevor, any comments you want to add to this before we start closing it out?
I think one thing I just want to mention about you personally, Will, like you're doing this on hard mode by like switching decks every week. Like if you can like stick with one for like a month, it'll click so much better.
Well, so with
that's what
Vinny,
happened with Vincent, right?
yeah. Well, I will
Yeah.
stick with the deck, so it's the finding of the new hero until you learn. And I'm not sure if you realize this, Trevor. I play a hero until I go 3-0, and then I stop.
Oh, really? That's what
Yeah.
you do?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Never mind. I didn't
So
catch on that. That's
no,
cool.
no. But sometimes but Vinny, my gosh, it took me like 6 months to go 3-0, right?
Okay, yeah. I just thought you really liked Vincent, so you were like playing her a lot. That's crazy.
Hey,
Actually. I
just
never
be
knew
like
that.
some of us and get 3-0 the first time you'd ever touch the deck.
Dude!
Right? How hard
Has
could
that
it
happened? You built
be?
a deck 3-0 and never play it again?
Yeah, so that's the issue with and there'll be a couple times where I'll bring you back out and play it.
Yeah.
But really it's when I find that hero that I really love and I gravitate toward the aesthetics of a hero more than actually the playstyle. Like I love the way Jarl looks. I love his jankiness of smashing your equipment. And in fact, like there's a lot of cards that he has, and I'm a defensive player by nature. I would like to think so, but I think I just like I think I'm more of a Syndra player. No offense to the Syndra players out there, but the whole swinging, or maybe Arachne or Flippy, right? I like that whole swing aggro and then have like ask them a question, right? But no, so like some of the heroes I will bring back out, like Fang, I relatively went quick with 3-0, but Warriors was such a hard trouble for me. I figured, well, if I can't beat them, join them, learn them, and then now I have a lot more of an easier time with most Warriors. I don't have a problem against the Kasai matchup. Fang matchup is pretty easy because once you figure out his shtick, it's very easy to navigate through. Dorinthia is still very hard for me to navigate because when she like is able to get her game plan off is very, very daunting to go against. And if you get touched bad by Dorinthia a few times, man, you remember that, and it's a feel bad every time you see her. Like I still get the shivers, right? Fighting against a Dorinthia, you see that Dawn Blade get like 3 or 4 counters, like ugh, never again. But how do you navigate this with all the new warrior cards sometimes coming out? Shout out to Nate who played Dorinthia for a while, and every time I fought him, every week it was always a scary matchup for me, even though I was favored in some of those matchups. But Vinny took me the longest because there's a lot of interactions. I brought her back out, and actually Tommy and Andrew, two really good players, day twoers consistently, was watching my game, and they're like, "You could have won that if you remember that every rune chant's individual, and there's a priority window where you can react in between each of these rune chants, right?" And I could have did my second shadow action card unblockable to make the second rune chant unblockable and swing again, and he would have just died. He was at 2 life, and I had these. I had the perfect setup to do exactly what I need to do to win the game. But Tommy had to point that out, and it's because I didn't play Vinny for such a long time. It's been like 3 months, maybe 4 months, that I forgot some of these nuances as well. But yeah, I'm surprised you never knew that, Trevor. Like,
No, I didn't. I never picked
yeah,
up. I thought you
yeah.
just
Well,
switching
also
decks.
sometimes I'll switch a deck if it's too many in the meta, like Gravy Bones. No, like part of that is I don't mind playing a different hero, but for my opponents, them playing the same hero could be kind of boring or
Well, the good
frustrating.
news is it seems like Gravy Bones is starting to die down a little bit.
Well, I knew he would, and I'll probably pick him back
Yeah,
up. I
yeah,
know Paul's having a very
yeah,
hard time because people figured out how to beat Gravy Bones, right? And some of
yeah.
his predators out there are,
War, Warmonger's diplomacy.
yeah.
That man, I felt so bad playing into Paul because that was my first game against that as Syndra, and
Hmm.
then it was either turn 0 or turn 1, and I played Warmonger's diplomacy. He didn't have anybody out yet, and then he first chose peace, and then he started to like try to bring people out, but then he was like, "Oh no, this is a bad idea because as Syndra I can just poke and then it's
Mm.
dead, or I can do
Mhm.
the thing and get the mask or whatever." And yeah, that's not
And
friendly.
Paul
Rough.
wasn't around when Warmonger's diplomacy was a relevant threat in our meta. It cycled off, like, and that's the thing with some of these strong cards that are like weakest link is cycling out, right? Because not a lot of people are playing them.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of blocks in the card block value in the cards. So it's the same thing
Mm-hmm.
with Gravy Bones and Warmongers. I'm sure people will bring in different tech, and right now they're teching against Gravy Bones. I still think Gravy Bones.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought Gravy Bones was the best deck, but I thought he was a very strong deck, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I know. Do you got any thoughts before we wrap this up?
No, I think I just need to do better. Play more. I think
Mm-hmm.
playing more is the most important part, right? Play more, no stakes. And even it's funny because Armory it used to be quote unquote higher stakes, right? Because right now everybody gets gem packs. Before the winner of the night gets some fancy cold
Oh
foil,
yeah.
Mhm.
one thing or 1 out of 4 because you won that week or whatever, and so it was slightly more stakes. But like even now, and then you also get more boosters the more you win, and so sometimes when I go into Armory, it's less like, oh, I'm here to play and have fun, and it's more like, all right, I've paid in my $10. Am I
Mm-hmm.
going to get my $10 back
Mm-hmm.
by winning X amount of packs or whatever? And so I think once I get out of that mindset and just get into the okay, I'm just here to play games and maybe learn on the side, then it'll be a little bit better experience overall.
Mm. Yeah, and so it kind of goes to Trevor's point. I think really setting expectations for how you're approaching your learning experience does go a long way. And maybe for our audience out there, if you feel yourself like me being frustrated with this experience and, you know, finding it kind of semi-confusing and, having that learning issue, maybe just realize, like Trevor's point, it's all gravy. Right? See what? Anyways,
It's
no, it's
all gravy.
like it's just an easy thing to do. Just go in and no stakes. Think that you're not gonna win. Don't worry about winning. Don't worry about losing. Just learn to play your deck. And to your
Add a
point,
Corsham in your deck. See what happens.
Corsham. Yeah, maybe one day though. And to your point, Ning. When I can't remember the point I was about to make, Ning. You got me.
He's just making it up. He's trying to make me feel better by saying I said something relevant.
No, you did, and it was important. I can't remember where. It was just something you just recently said too. But anyways,
we'll never know.
That level of frustration I'm feeling right now.
It's right here.
No, it's I think this is going to be a short cast, and I know overall it's a little bit of a different structure than we had. But I figured next week we'll go ahead and go back into the class dive or the class 101s or whatever we called them. Next week I think is Illusionist. So we're going to talk about Prism, New,
Prism and New,
Enigma, all right, and I guess Dromai, and I think that's where you guys can probably speak a little bit more to that, where I can speak toward the Prism piece. But yeah, I would say overall, learning is a learning. It is what it is, right? So comment down below if you guys experienced any kind of things like frustrations with your game, if you have a learning technique or a practice technique that you utilize. But that's a wrap on episode 20 of Tunic Counter Gamers, not including the 2 special episodes we had, set reviews. Proof that learning Flesh and Blood is equal parts glorious victory and absolute chaos. I guess it depends on who you are. If you survived this far without flipping the table, right? Congratulations, you're one of us now. So embrace the misplays, laugh at the pain, and remember, every bad game is a step closer to your next win. But that being said, there is one last thing we have to say, and every week I have to look up the phrasing, but until next time, remember, every turn is a decision, every decision is a story, and don't forget you're down to the counter.